Our next guest fell in love with their sport at just 8 years old. That is when Ridhima Dilawari began to play golf, and by the age of 16, she was named the #1 junior golfer in India and held the title of #1 Indian amateur golfer for 2014 and 16. She attended Columbia University, where she earned accolades like Rookie of the Year and the William Terminello Award for the lowest scoring average. She represented India at the 2018 Asian Games, finishing as the top performer on her team, with a tie for 17th place. Turning professional in 2018, Ridhima has since racked up 12 wins and 7 top 10 finishes on the Hero Women's Professional Tour. She has seen courses all over the world and is currently competing on the Ladies European Tour. Ridhima, thank you for being here and welcome to our show. So Ridhima, you mentioned on your very recent Instagram post that it's always special playing at home.
Yes.
You've just competed at the Hero Women's Indian Open. So tell us a little bit more about what that experience was like and why is it so special playing on home soil?
Well, for me, it's my most special event of the year. So for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been playing quite a bit on the European Tour. So you kind of go to all these other countries and you play all over Europe and everywhere else. And it's so nice to come back home, like at my home course, because I live in Gurgaon as well. So I play and practice at the DLF Golf Club. So it's so nice to come back home and play a European Tour event there, where all the other girls from other European countries get to come here. They get to experience India a little bit. And I get to play host just a little bit because all my friends, all the girls just want to ask where to go eat and like what to see, and I take them sightseeing. Usually we'll go to the Taj Mahal every week, every time this week comes around. So it's great, and then my family gets to come and watch. They don't usually get to watch me play a lot when I'm traveling. So it's just special, it's nice. Yeah.
And tell me, when you have a tournament like this at home and you're playing with a home crowd, and I'm guessing a lot of the spectators have watched you grow through golf. Do you feel that little added pressure, and how do you react to it?
I don't even think it's pressure. It's almost nice. It feels like support. It feels like they're out there rooting for you. So you actually want to play a little bit better, just so that you can make everybody happy, and whoever's watching, they just get to see you play well. So
nice, amazing. So let's go back to the start.
Yeah.
You've had an incredible journey from India to Columbia University and beyond.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about why golf. Why did you choose to take up the sport first?
Yeah.
And then what made you feel like this is something that you could turn into a career?
Well, everybody asks me, does anybody in your family play golf? Because I think golf is such a sport that's like kind of passed down from generations.
Right.
It's one of those ones. But I was actually the first person in my family to play golf, and my brother started playing after I did. It was quite random. So my parents used to, they think that sports is very important. To have physical activity is very important. So my mom used to take us to the Siri Fort sports complex in Delhi and just kind of like let us loose and be like, whatever sport you want to play, whatever activity you want to do. And every day we would park the car, and the driving range was right in front of the car park, and I would see people hitting balls every day. And just, I think after maybe a year of seeing people hit balls through the car park, I was like, can I try golf as well? And so I started with golf, started taking some lessons, and it just kind of steamrolled into me playing tournaments, and one thing led to another, and here we are now.
So were you this competitive? You said one thing led to another,
Yeah.
and into tournaments. I was taught to swim for therapeutic reasons.
Okay.
So to get rid of recurring bronchitis, coughs,
Okay.
colds.
Yeah.
But I couldn't just swim just as therapy. I wanted to win a medal at it. That's just how I am. So were you always competitive from a young age, or did that develop over time?
I think I've always been sort of competitive. Even when I started, I don't remember what I thought when I was like 8 or 9 years old, but I think I was pretty serious about all the tournaments I played, and I always wanted to do well. So I think maybe there's like a little bit of innate competitiveness, which has kind of grown over time, I would think.
And you mentioned your mother driving you to the Siri Fort and giving you an opportunity to play all sports. So she was clearly an influential part of your initial journey. What about other role models and mentors? Were there any?
Well, obviously, like my parents and they were very big on sports, because they played a lot of sports growing
Right.
up, and they both are from a medical background, so they understand the importance of health and fitness and everything. So they've been like big drivers of like my career and everything that I do. But also just growing up, you know, I always have had good mentors, whether it's coaches or like other people, like older people who've played golf, who've always been very helpful. And you know, people in the Indian golf scene who you get to look up to. So it's been a lot of people who've kind
Who've
of
been
been role
instrumental
models.
in
Yes,
your
exactly.
journey. You spoke a little bit about how it was special to play on home soil because you get to play in front of a crowd and also family that
Yes.
gets to watch you.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing in the initial stages of your career when you were playing on the Indian national
Yeah.
circuit, you had a lot more of that.
Yes.
Now you're on the European tour. So do you miss that family being around all the time, or have you adjusted to it?
Well, I've obviously adjusted to it, but I do miss it because when I was a junior, my mum used to travel with me everywhere, take me to tournaments, and she used to walk with me
Correct.
every day, 18 holes, like without fail. She would walk and like watch. And she was kind of one of those like silent supporters. She was never too loud on the course, like always kind of like hiding behind trees. But like every time I looked at her, she would always have a smile on her face, and she always like wanted me to look at her and like feel like calm and like comfort. So I definitely miss having my mum with me quite a bit. But I've said that this summer when I'm playing in Europe, her and dad, they're going to come and they're going to treat it like a vacation and maybe watch a little bit of golf. So hopefully we can get the gang together this
I think
summer.
you're going to play much better. I mean, also now that you have your family around
I know,
you.
maybe that's what I need to do. Honestly, if I play really well with them around, then they can never not be there. Then they have to be there every time.
So you know, I started playing the amateur circuit a year ago, and I was playing in Hyderabad, and my parents had been with me through like your journey through my entire swimming career, every nationals, every state championship, international meets. And now this is my second sport I'm attempting to. And after I made the cut, I called up and I said, listen, you guys, you have to come. And the rest of my, some of my teammates and of course family back home, they couldn't get why an adult male wants his parents there watching him, play golf. But I think that it's part of, you're trying to bring back what you did through your growing phases, and I think it also takes care of a lot of the nerves when you're just having fun or you're on holiday.
It's nice, and I just think that, well, I know for a fact that my parents really enjoy it as well, because they've also, I mean, well, my mom, I know she can't follow scores on the like website because it stresses her out, because she's like, if I can't see you play, then I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So then I just keep checking scores and I keep getting stressed for no reason. So for her, like, she's calmer when she can watch me play. And my dad is like on the other end of the spectrum, like he loves to like follow scores. So if he comes to watch, like he wants to be loud and supportive and just show that, show his support. So
you've got a nice mix of
a good mix. They both balance each other.
Not just a mom who's a happy supporter.
Yeah, exactly.
So just like Moha Nature's perfect formula, every successful athlete has the perfect blend of physical, mental and technical prowess. We are here with Ridhima, and we'd like to know, Ridhima, a little bit about what it takes to be a complete golfer. It's training is crucial in golf. You can't really shy away from it. So tell us a little bit more about what a typical training day would look like in season for you.
Well, in season, like, we're obviously playing a lot of tournaments as well, but like when you have days off, like it involves a lot of obviously golf skill practice, where you go to the driving range, do your like swing drills and things, then do some like what we call block practice, where you're like kind of working on your swing, and then you do a little bit of like random practice where you like kind of think of situations that you would have on the course and try to practice certain shots for that. And then you do your short game, which obviously includes putting and like chipping and things like that. And strength training is very important for golf. So that's always a part of my routine, whether in season or off season, but just the type of training changes based on what part of the season you're in. So if I'm in off season, I'm doing a lot more strength and power work, like trying to up the weight, trying to get stronger for the season to start. And when you're in season, it's more like power work, like quick movements, try to create more speed, things like that. So overall, it's kind of a full day of like waking up in the morning, like stretching, doing your activations, getting to the course, doing your practice, maybe playing a few holes, then working out and coming back and trying to make sure you get enough sleep. I think that's important as well.
So you talked about technique, and I think that's the foundation of every good athletes, not only golfers, game. But I see a lot of athletes today, even the ones that I train for swimming, get very wound up and stuck up on being technically perfect, or what their ideal definition of perfection is. You mentioned that you do a lot more of that in the off season. Leading up to a tournament, how do you manage to mentally dissociate your technical practice from say random practice, like you said?
Well, I think it's important to incorporate both things constantly, because if you're just doing only technical work and no what we call random or situational work, then you're only training your, well, not even just your body but your mind to do things in an isolated situation where it's all about technique and angles and things like that, which is not how you can think on a golf course. I mean, I don't know about any other sports, say like swimming for you, but when you're say in competition mode, a lot of it is hey, I did all this work, but that's gonna be my muscle memory and in my subconscious, but I gotta be in the moment and look at what the situation is in front of me and try to figure it out based on that. So I think it's a mix of trying to make sure you do both things right, not getting stuck in the technical aspect. I think especially in a sport like golf, I mean, you would know this as well because you play that there's so much technique that if you get involved in the technique, you would lose your mind. It would drive you crazy. So you need to take as much as you need, know what your golf swing needs or what your body needs, and continue to work on that, while at the same time you just kind of hone your creative aspect in golf as well.
So and I'd like you to touch a little more upon this, because you mentioned with swimming, for example. Now that I'm coaching, I'm also always telling swimmers that yes, you've got to be obsessed with technique, but there has to be a cutoff where you transition to just becoming an athlete and not remaining there are no gold medals for the perfect looking swimmer or golfer.
Of course.
But you talked about visualizing certain shots and practicing, doing the random practice bit. So specifically for golfers who are watching, can you tell us a little bit more about what your situational practice is like?
So actually I've started doing this new thing where when I'm on the driving range, say you hit, obviously everybody hits balls at the driving range, so you're kind of there hitting a lot of balls, but instead of being I'm gonna do this drill for this long and these many balls, I split it up into sets of 5. So in sets of 5, I'll do 3 of block practice where I'm thinking about, say, the angle of my the backswing or so whatever that I'm working on in the moment, and then the last 2 shots I'll pick 2 different targets and try to shape a shot to that target. So I do this in sets of 5, so that you're not at any point too closed off and in the technical zone. You're kind of breaking out of it pretty often, so then you're kind of honing your creative and sort of visualizing skills as well at the same time.
Because I feel with youngsters watching, they've got to also at some point realize this, that no matter how much block practice you do or technical work you do, it has to start translating onto playing a course. And I don't think there's a single shot on the driving range that, at least when I practice, I find on a golf course, unless I visualize that I'm playing that particular hole or shot on the golf course.
Of course. No, actually the coach I've started working with, he was actually saying that, I mean, and we all know this about golf, that you're failing more times than you are doing 100% of what you visualize, right? Because if you were doing that, you would hole every shot, right? So you're not doing that, obviously. But it's important to also practice the aspect of failure in practice, so that you are able to move on from that in a competitive environment as well. See, if I've picked a target and I've said I want to hit this shot to there and I don't, that's the end of it. I don't get a second chance to do that at practice as well. And it's the same thing on the course. You kind of get into situations and you just try to go to the next shot and figure it out from there. So you just kind of have to figure that out mentally as well.
I have this one swimmer who finishes one race, and she gets out, and then she says, okay, now I'm dealing with pressure and nerves better, so can I have a second chance? She's very young, she's 9 years old, but I think that's the learning from transitioning. So I watched this video on, I'm sure you've seen it, on Nelly and Jessica Corda. They're talking to their coach, and there's a part where he's saying that Nelly one of the sisters was on the course. She played a really bad round and she couldn't get over it. And he told her, well, whose name is on the bag? That's your name on the bag. You got to take ownership for it. And I think that's the lesson that we need to take away from this is that you can have opinions and opinions of great coaches, but at the end of the day, the success is yours. So as the failure or as the mistakes, and athletes need to learn to take ownership of that. You've had different coaches. Some may have been more technical than others, but today with golf in specifically, there's a lot of technology that is enabling golfers to be better. Do you use a lot of that technology, or are you somebody that is more old school and you like to work off just your own feel of the game?
I think it's as always a combination of both. So I actually use the technology to find feelings for myself. Like I'll use that as a marker where, like, say you take some videos, you see, or you like go with, there's so many different like things that you can use, like the TrackMan, the GC Quad and things like that. So you take feedback, I think, from technology like that, and then you're like, okay, maybe this needs to get a little bit better. And then you find, like for me, like it's always usually about feeling for me in the golf swing. Like I need to find the feeling that feels right to me. So then we find the feeling and then see if it translates to a change in what we're trying to work on like on whatever device that you choose or whatever, on video and things like that. So it's like almost like trying to use the technology to find the right feeling and then stick to the feeling and just make sure that that's getting me the right results.
And because it's a sport which it's I think I've swum for many years, but I think this is an absolutely insane sport when it comes to exactly what you said, finding that feeling that you feel works for you to take from practice to a tournament, or even from a warm-up pre-tournament into tournament, where you feel a certain thing in your warm-up and then you are not sure if it's converting on the golf course. So these devices, or you say a TrackMan for example, are you taking them with you even as close to a competition in like a pre-tournament warm-up?
I don't like too much feedback. I think especially for me, like the morning of a tournament, I just it is what it is, right? Like your swing is what it is today. Like you just kind of have to go and figure it out. Like I know golf is like, it's a slower game, right? Like you have, like you hit shots, you move on to the next shot. But for me at least, like I want to see it as much of a reactive sport as I can, because there are certain situations you need to react to, like you get a different lie, like there's different slopes, like the pins are cut in different positions, like whatever, like it could be so many things. Like I think it's for me, I don't want to look at it like any shot in isolation. I want to see it as like I walk up to the ball, then I visualize a shot shape, or I visualize how I want to hit the shot. So I want to try and make it as reactive as possible. Kind of gets me out of my head as well, like because I'm a major overthinker, like in life in general. So especially in a sport like golf, I need to reduce like the amount of thinking time. That actually helps me, but that's more of a personal thing, because some people maybe need to do the opposite, but for my personality type,
and we'll get to this overthinking bit a little later, but I'm dying to ask you. So you say you're an overthinker, so what are you doing from you're walking typically 3 to 5 minutes from shot to shot. What are you doing to not overthink or distract yourself?
I actually try to sing a song in my head.
Are you going to be kind enough to tell us what sort of music?
It depends. Well, it honestly depends on the latest, like the last song I maybe heard, and it's just stuck in my head. It could be anything. It could be like English pop, it could be Bollywood, it could be Punjabi, it could be anything. But just like the first or the last song that I heard and the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm usually singing that in my head as I walk.
So Ridhima, tell us about your first national tournament, and were you excited for it, or were you nervous? How was that like?
My first national tournament was when I was about 9 years old, so I was still really young. I don't know, I was probably excited and nervous, but I don't think I fully understood what it meant to play a tournament at 9. I think I was just excited to try something different, to go play on the course. And I think I still remember I was the youngest player in the field that week. So even though I didn't win anything, they gave me a little trophy for being, the youngest participant. So I have that memory in my head, and I was very excited to win some kind of trophy. Like I didn't understand what winning or losing meant at the time, but it was just nice to come home with like a little trophy for something.
And this was fun. This was all fun. I'm guessing your mum was there.
Yes. It was local for us. So we maybe drove like an hour to Golden Greens Golf. That's where I played my first event. And she took me there. She's like, oh, let's just see, like you can go play this tournament. and like I said, I don't think I fully understood like what it meant
What
to
it
play
meant.
a tournament, but I think I had a great time, and obviously I'm sure I did because I wanted to play more of them.
And you
so
got that trophy that
I got the little
you
trophy
still
to take
remember.
home. Yeah.
So when did it become serious though? When did you know at what age
Yeah.
do you feel like it meant more?
Yeah.
And you felt like, okay, now I'm actually at this tournament and I want to win or I want to do really well. When was that?
Yeah. I think I would say when I got a little bit older, maybe like 12, around 12, 13, is when it started kicking in that, oh, you know, like first of all, like I have won events, so I can do well and I can win events. So I think once you do it, like you just feel like you want to do it. It's such a good feeling, right?
Correct.
To do well competitively, that you just want to continue
going,
to
yes.
be on the same high. So I think that's probably when I kind of realized that, oh, I'm super competitive and I want to try and win events and things like that. And I don't think that's ever stopped since then.
I don't
Yeah,
think so. You're
no.
traveling all around Europe now.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
earned a card and you're playing on the ladies European tour.
Yeah.
It has to be different from playing in national
Definitely,
tournaments, right? So
yeah.
tell us a little bit more about the
Yeah.
travel and the time it takes
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, the travel is obviously not easy. Like you're flying from, for me, Delhi to wherever in Europe, and there's time difference. There's a long flight. You come off the flight, your body's not feeling great, so you need like a day to get through that. And like weather is a factor in Europe as well. Like because obviously golf is such an outdoor sport. Like it's the wind, the cold. I mean, in India, you're not used to playing in super cold weather. I mean, it gets a little bit cold in Delhi, but really not that bad even
Right.
in the winters. But over there, when it's cold and windy and rainy, like it's all these conditions that you're just not used to. So it's a learning curve for sure. Like I definitely think it took me like at least a year or maybe more to sort of like find my footing and just figure out how to play these events, how to manage them. And also I think when you go from playing in India, like it's a comfort zone, right? You've played all of these golf courses multiple times, you're comfortable with the landscape, you're comfortable with, if I stay in this hotel, this is the food I'll get, and just stuff like that. But when you go to a whole new place, like a new golf course, new people, it just sort of feels like you're an outsider. And
Right.
it took me a while to sort of feel like, okay, yes, I'm on this tour and I'm here to play, and like I'm the same as everybody else. And a lot of times you just kind of look around and you're like, oh, these girls are so good, but then you kind of forget that you're good as well, and like you just need to try and remember that as much as
And
possible.
it took you a year to, you're saying, get used to this.
Well, I think maybe even more. I think I still, to some extent, like I need to keep telling myself that you're good enough. Like like you shouldn't look around and be like, if just because you're on a bigger tour, like with obviously better players, as it's like one of the best tours in the world.
Right.
You can't then look around and be like, that person does this so well or whatever. Like you just have to believe that you're good enough, and I think that's a very important thing, and I'm still learning how to do it a bit better.
No, I applaud you for your honesty,
Yeah.
and coming to terms with this, because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of athletes, when they transition from going from national to
Yeah.
international, they
Yeah.
are at the international event. Well, you're on the European tour because you are good enough to play on that tour.
Yeah.
And there are so many athletes across sport who go from their first national win and they are India #1, and that's why they
Yeah.
are competing abroad, to feeling like, okay, I'm out of my comfort zone, and the people around me are actually better, and then it does take time.
Yeah.
And I see many swimmers also, they fall off the grid because they
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed by their first year of
Yeah.
competing at Asian Commonwealth.
Yeah.
It's the ones that stick around and understand that it does take time, as
Yeah.
you are saying. Even
Yeah.
now, you
Yeah.
believe that every experience is a learning experience, as long as you're
Absolutely.
willing to
Yeah.
learn through that. There has to be pressure. This is clearly some form of pressure.
Yeah.
Also pressure of playing, with you have got Indian colors on you, I'm guessing, on your bag as well.
Yes. Well, you represent India. Well, as a
Yes.
professional golfer, you don't really
It's
play
a
for
little
Team
different.
India
Yes.
anymore, but obviously you play.
And there are people back home who care very much about
Yes.
how you do, your coaches,
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you do go through that pressure, what are some of the things that you do to try and dissipate it or distract
Yeah.
yourself, apart from, of course, singing on course?
I actually for me, like I said, distractions are great. So I'm actually like a big reader. Like I carry my Kindle with me everywhere I go. So for me, it's kind of like important to switch off, because that's hard for me. And like I try, but some days it's better than others. But I try to maybe read a lot, or like if you're in another city, maybe go and see like things in the city, like sightsee a little bit, just like kind of get your mind off golf a little bit. I think that's usually what works for me, I would say.
And golf is it can tend to be a lonely sport. Like I remember when I felt like I'm finally now good enough to attempt to get onto the amateur tour. I would speak to the pros at my course and other amateur players who are already on the tour, and I would start to feel, is this really for me? Because while I'm a loner in many ways, I started to think, okay, but I'm going to be traveling alone, I'm going to be staying alone. I'm not a reader, but I still don't do well with crowds, really. So how are you on tour? Do you make friends, and is there a group of girls who are playing with you from India, or do you like to be by yourself in your space?
I mean, there's a few girls who play from India, but also there's obviously a lot of girls from other countries as well. And I think it's a very nice atmosphere because it's almost like a traveling circus, right? You see the same people every week. Like everybody kind of understands what you're going through because they're all going through the same thing. So it's been nice because I've made a few friends on tour, but at the same time, golf is a lonely sport because you are competing against all these other people who you're friends with. So at the end of the day, sure, you guys are friends and like get along, but it is a competitive environment. So it's not going to be the same as say like your school friends or college friends where there's like no such like competitive aspect involved. So I think, definitely to be maybe any sort of professional athlete, you kind of have to be happy in your own company as well, own space as well. I think I find it very important, like I need my alone time. Like I can be fairly social when I have the, energy for it. People think I'm very extroverted usually, but I'm actually not. Like, it's like that 1 or 2 hours that they see me that I'm extroverted, but the rest of the time, like, I'm just like either like reading my book or doing something in silence. And that's what I need to kind of recharge the battery as well. So I think for me, it's like a bit of a mix of like making sure I have like time for myself, but as well as like making like kind of getting out of your shell and socializing just a little bit with people around.
Well, you studied at the Columbia University. How many years was that when you stayed abroad and played?
That was about 2.5 years, and I came back to play the Asian Games in 2018, like during that time as well.
And tell me a little bit about the Asian Games experience. How was that different from a typical professional circuit tour?
Well, because usually when we go play a tournament, it's just golfers, right? That's the only sport that's being played. But you go to the Asian Games village, like you see all these other athletes. I think it's like the most amazing experience because you feel like you're a part of something so much bigger.
Correct.
Like, sure, golf is great. It's great to represent your country, like regardless of whether whatever kind of event it is. But like over there, you just kind of see the scale of like what playing for your country means. And it was a great experience. Like I'll always remember it fondly. Yeah.
And at Columbia, when you were training there, you were also competing, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Over there. So how would you compare training in the States to training back home?
Well, I was a student athlete, so obviously that's a whole like different thing, I think, because like you have a whole schedule. Like you go for your workouts at 6:30 in the morning, you go to class at 8:30, like you're like doing your few hours of like classes, and you're going straight to practice, and you're coming back and finishing like your homework and your papers and things like that. And over the weekend you're playing, we would play over the weekend, like we would travel to different tournaments and play from Friday to Sunday, and then come back and get back to class on Monday. So it was super hectic, like super taxing, and it just teaches you how to balance things a little better, like schedule things better. Time management is very important. And honestly, like I would say that turning pro after that was actually so much easier because I was like, wait, like golf's the only thing I have to do now, like not like 5 other things. Exactly. So honestly, I feel like that sort of helps you. Well, it definitely helped with my time management even as a professional athlete, and it also made it seem like nicer to be able to do just one thing with my time.
And was it always a priority, because there are a lot of young golfers who are watching, was it a priority for you to study in the States, or just did that happen? Was that not part of the plan?
Well, academics have always been important in my family. My parents are doctors, like they come from that background. They're My brother's also like super smart, super studious, my older brother. So academics have been important in our family from the get-go. Like whether I was traveling for tournaments or not, like it was important to like still study and like still do other things. And even in school, like not just academics, but even other extracurricular activities were important as well. Which again, I give credit to my parents. Like for them, it was important for us to be well-rounded as well. Like not just like, hey, like you want to play golf, like that's all we're going to do from the age of like 10.
Yes.
I just don't think that's the right approach at all, because sure, like it's great to be successful at a sport, but I think the rest of your life doesn't hinge on being a good golfer, a good swimmer, or whatever else. Like,
correct.
So like all of these other things I feel like are pretty important as well.
So you talk about, I mean, your academics was always a priority.
Yeah.
And at some point you clearly made the decision to make golf a priority in terms of it being a career.
Yeah.
Was there a particular moment or a performance at a tournament where you actually felt like, okay, I want to go down the road of making this my career?
Yeah. Well, actually, like when I was going to play college golf in America, I wasn't sure if I wanted to turn professional. So, which is why I was like, I'll pick a good academic school as well. So, you know, you get a good degree out of it and everything else. But in 2018, I got an invite to come and qualify for the Asian Games and the World Championship. So I decided I'd take a semester off from college and come back and, you know, train and try to qualify, because it was one of my goals to be able to represent the country at the Asian Games and the World Championship. So I wanted to do that. And when I came back, I kind of had this schedule of a professional golfer without actually being one, because I was like putting in the time in training and like in the gym and things like that. And then I made it through the qualifiers and made the team. So I think it was about that time when all of this was happening where I figured that I wanted to play professionally, because it just felt so natural and like the thing that I wanted to do the most. And I think that's kind of when the little transition happened, and I figured I wanted to do this for a living.
So just like Moha promotes confidence through its range of products, we have with us Ridhima here, who is a bundle of confidence. She is clearly lining up at a tournament knowing exactly how she wants to play it, even though she's very humble and says that nothing goes according to plan. I think she's planned to be on the European tour and she's playing on it. Ridhima, when you look at a season that is going to unfold in front of you before it starts, you clearly want to get something out of it, right? So leading into next year, what are your immediate goals?
Well, my immediate goals are to kind of lock up full status on the European tour, like just to be playing every event in the season. I've kind of been playing like a certain percentage of events like based on my status, but I would like to kind of lock up a full cut so you get to play the entire season in Europe. And you know, it's obviously helpful for your ranking as well to be playing as many events as you can. And obviously the goal is to then be very competitive on tour as well, like be in contention, like win events, things like that. So obviously it's like a step-by-step process, but like hoping to get to every step of that.
And if there was one tournament that you in the future, say these are your short-term goals, so to speak. So in terms of long-term goal, which is that one tournament that you would love to be playing and competing in?
Like for me, like the Olympics would be like something I would really like aspire to play and be a part of the team. I mean, like I said, I know now how it feels like to be on the Indian team for one of these events like the Asian Games, and I just think it'd be like incomparable to like be at the Olympics. And I mean, you would know what that feels like, but I mean, that's definitely one of my goals, and it's a good long-term goal as well.
And it'll be a sweet 10-year plan, so to speak, from going from the Asian Games in 18 to maybe LA in 2028. Is that realistic for you, or do you feel you need a little more time?
I mean, currently, like I say, I would have to like do quite a bit better in the next couple of years, but it's not fully. I don't think it's fully unrealistic, because there's enough time until then. And if I say like get to my short-term goals, and that would definitely kind of move me forward to like getting to my long-term goal as well.
And for the youngsters watching, I feel like it's important because we tend to, a lot of athletes, including myself at times, we tend to set goals, short and long-term goals, and they end up controlling, our emotions and overwhelm us to a point where it takes away from the joy of why you actually play the sport.
That's right.
I'm jumping the gun, but have you ever gone into a situation where you felt like your goals are overwhelming you and you should come back to, what did you do to come back to finding joy in your sport again?
I mean, it's funny that you say that. In fact, I had something of this sort going on maybe at the beginning of this year.
Right.
Because I think obviously when you transition from playing in India to playing on a bigger tour, and a lot of times you think that results should come instantly. Like when I turned pro, and played in India, results came pretty instantly for me, nationally. And I just felt like, oh, this is just natural, the next progression, you should just keep hitting all the marks and all the goals instantly. But obviously that doesn't happen, that doesn't always happen, not just in sports, but in any aspect of life. So I think maybe at the beginning of this year, I was feeling a bit overwhelmed because, I think you set out some expectations for yourself as well. It's not even anyone else has said anything or put any expectations on you, but sometimes you just have certain things that you feel like you maybe should have done already by now. And then I was just kind of feeling a little overwhelmed that I hadn't gotten there, and a little bit just golf didn't feel like a happy place for me for a bit. But I think it was important to just sort of maybe just play a little bit of golf for fun, maybe play a few fun rounds with my friends, and things like that, just so that I started enjoying the sport a little bit more again, and it wasn't directly tied to result all the time. And it's still something I'm working on, that everything isn't tied to the results you get in golf. You can't define your self-worth based on how it goes on the course, good or bad. It's just your job, and you should be able to clock out of it a little bit better at the end of the day.
And I think that's again so important. I talked about this a little earlier in where you have to be first honest with yourself. You're in one of India's best ever golfers, but you still go through this phase where you're talking to yourself, telling yourself to slow down and maybe try to find joy in and ask yourself why you do what you do. Is there any one particular thing you'd like to point out within your game and say, okay, this is why I play golf, this is the most fun aspect of my game?
Well, I actually think I'm a very good ball striker. I feel like I hit a lot of greens. You would obviously understand these terms a bit more than someone who doesn't play golf. So I think for me that's one of my stronger aspects. So I actually really enjoy even going to the driving range and hitting balls, and even when I'm on the course, just the days it hits the center of the club face, the feeling that you get from it of hitting a flush, getting flush contact and hitting a good shot, that's honestly incomparable to anything else. So I just think whenever I can get that feeling of happiness from it, that's important.
And that has to be always the overpowering, overwhelming reason why we play a sport. Otherwise, you wouldn't last in it for that long. But are you as a sort of athlete who also maybe deals with pressure by bringing down the intensity of the moment, and you feel like that helps you, play better? Because you talked about those fun rounds that you play, where you try to dissociate from the intensity of the competition. Do you do better with being part of the big moment, or do you sometimes feel it's nicer to just go out there and play a fun round even if it is in a tournament?
I think it just kind of depends. For me, it switches a little bit based on the mindset that I'm in. I think you got to take into account how you are feeling and see what you want. I think when I'm feeling a bit of pressure and nervousness, I like to think that it's kind of stay in the process a little bit more, make sure you're committing to every shot, then after you've committed and hit the shot, and then you just kind of okay, this is what's happened, now we just go to the next one and move on. But I've also realized I'm someone who does enjoy being in the big moments as well, because that is what you train for, right?
Correct.
And it's almost if I don't I train to feel this pressure. The reason why I'm in this situation is because I'm doing well, right? If I am standing over a putt or a shot, being nervous because if I make this or if I do well, like I'll win or whatever. Like obviously I've put myself in a great position to give myself a chance to win a tournament or to be in contention or to do really well. So I like to kind of think of it as that way as well, that, you know, like the nervousness is natural. Like you're gonna be like, your heart's gonna beat a little bit faster, your hands are gonna get a little bit shakier. But the only reason that's happening is because you've put yourself in a position where it matters to you and where you might get a good result.
You know, listening to you talk, it wouldn't feel like you're one of the best golfers in the country because it almost, but that's the best part of, you know, hearing from a champion athlete where they're talking about their wins. We've not yet talked too much about your successes. We will get to it. But you're also talking about the challenges that you face that are very real. And the pressure is always there. Like I always felt I say this on social media a lot. I was as nervous for my first race when I was 6 years old as I was for my last race when I was 26.
But I just think the minute you don't feel nervous, that means it stopped mattering to you.
Right.
And I actually I don't think I'll ever not be nervous for like a tournament, because I've obviously put in the work, so I care. And the minute you care about something, you feel a little bit nervous about putting in the right kind of performance. So I just think it goes hand in hand.
So Ridhima, like I said, now we will get to talk about your successes within the sport. You've had 12 wins on the professional tour, multiple top 10 finishes. It's incredibly consistent. So what do you think some of your plus points are that help you be so consistent on tour?
I think a lot of like the confidence comes from preparation for me. So I feel like if I put in whatever feels right to me, like enough work, like it doesn't have to be like, I don't know, like 8 hours a day or whatever, but if I feel like I've done the right things leading up to the event, like I feel confident, that kind of helps me play better. I just, I enjoy being able to compete and being able to put a good round together. And if I'm in contention, like it just, it feels like I want to win the event as well. So that kind of motivates me to try and play a little better on the final days as well.
Okay, so you talk about final day. I'm going to put you on the spot. Nowhere close to what you feel in a tournament. Say you're 3 holes to go and you're leading by a shot. What's going through your mind? Are you looking at the scoreboard or are you just focusing on your process?
I think, the right thing to say would be that I'm focusing on my process, but of course you're looking at the scoreboard as well. But I think like over time you kind of figure out a balance of like, hey, I know this is the situation I'm in, like I'm 1 shot back, this person, 1 shot ahead, this person is 1 shot back and things like that. But like, if obviously you've got yourself to a position where you're in the lead, so whatever you've been doing this whole week, you've been doing it right.
Correct.
So it doesn't make sense to deviate from anything that you've been doing in the past. I feel like sometimes what a lot of people end up doing is get a bit like conservative in a situation where they're leading. But I don't feel like I ever want to do that, because then that's doing the opposite of what got me into this situation in the first place. So like I would like to try and continue to feel the same things I was feeling, but knowing in the back of my head that someone's 1 shot behind, so you kind of say like, then you got to keep track, like if they make a couple birdies or whatever and you have to birdie then you kind of have to change your plan just a little bit, but mostly try not to deviate from the plan.
So you're saying stick with what you've done all week to get to that position, you would stick to it. With swimming, you've got 7 other competitors in a final that you have to look at, you have no choice to.
Of course.
If you happen to be in you are clearly in the leader group with that girl who is 1 shot behind you, would you at all consider changing your style of play? While you said you want to stick to what you're good at, say for example she's bombed a drive and you're teeing off next, would you, and you've decided to hit a shorter club and hit a shorter distance, have there ever been moments where you've changed a decision on the spot?
I don't think so. Like I wouldn't actually want to change my decision at that point, because there's when you're like in that situation, you're probably maybe not thinking in the most orderly way, right? Because there's like nervousness and pressure, whatever. So the decision you made earlier is when you had a calmer mind and you like made that decision for a certain reason. So it's usually better to kind of like stick to what you thought earlier, because there was some logic to it. And you can't just, I feel like, at least for me, like I don't want to change it based on like what other people are doing. And golf is such a sport, like someone could hit a driver and bomb it, and you can hit a shorter club, but you can still make birdie and they can still make bogey, right?
Correct.
So like it's not a given that anything's going to happen with a tee shot.
No,
So,
because the reason I asked you this is it is a learning for younger athletes who are not fully mature to understand that they can only do what they can do, and you cannot control what your opponent is doing, and change your whole race plan or race with swimming, but your whole tournament plan.
But I think maybe like a sport like swimming and stuff is a bit different because you are directly competing with other people, right?
Yes.
For us, like we're all playing on the same golf course, but on the side like competing with each other, right? So like your goal is to play the course well, right? So if I've decided I want to hit this club off the tee and this is the best option for me, this is the best way for me to make birdie on this hole, then like that's great, right? Because that's what I want to do. I want to try and make birdie on that hole.
And do you have, you talk about courses, do you have a specific favorite course in India that you love to play at?
Well, I enjoy DLF golf courses. Well,
this is your home course?
It is my home course. I play there quite a bit, but one of my other favorite courses is Kalhar because for a bit I had the course record over there. I shot 8 under at Kalhar. Wow. So I think I'm now tied for the course. Or I don't know if someone's beaten that, but at the time it was a course record. So that's one of my favorite courses.
If only non-golfers who are going to watch this know what it means like, to shoot 8 under. Wow. So maybe someday I will as well. But tell me, you from these 12 professional wins that you've had, if you had to single out one that is a little more special than the others, which would it be?
I would think that this was 2 years ago. I won it in Chandigarh at Panchkula Golf Course, and I'd been playing a little bit on the European tour and I hadn't been playing much in India, so it had been a while since I'd won an event because when you're in Europe, like it's not so easy to win events and like you're just trying to make cuts and like be in contention. But like when I came back to play in India, like I obviously you feel like you should be winning events here like more often, and I think going into the last day maybe I was a couple shots back or tied for the lead or something, and I just remember how good it felt to like be in that position again because it had been like some time, and I remember I shot 6 under that day to win by maybe 3 or 4 shots, but like at the beginning it was super competitive with the girl I was playing with. Like she was making birdies, I was making birdies, so it was just one of those days where like it just felt so good to come out at the top end of that and to be the person who like shot the good round and like won the tournament. So that was probably one of my most special ones.
You're talking about 6 under and 8 under like it's just part of the golf. Somebody on set has just suggested that you check my golf swing. I think I have to take you up on that offer because I need to play under par soon, realizing how competitive I am because I'm sort of competing with you now. Not a chance.
But you're definitely getting there. Like to switch sports, like that's a whole different thing. I don't think I could play any other sport at a high level like you are. So that's
I'm trying. Let's just keep it at that. But you aren't so superstitious, you said about.
No, not so much. Yeah.
But do you have any sort of ritual or a warm up pre-game that you follow, or anything that you do like that to make sure that you've done everything not planned to try and win?
Well, I feel like say when I get to a tournament venue, like on the practice round days, you obviously go to eat breakfast like somewhere either in the hotel or somewhere else. So if I've just eaten a certain thing for breakfast on the practice round day, like I eat the same thing for the next 4 days. Like I'll be like, okay, eggs this way, like maybe like 1 croissant, like it's like the exact same like breakfast that I'll eat, like that I eat every day. And that just, I don't know, it's like, it's not even a superstition, it's like a little like routine thing that I do. And like when I'm warming up, like obviously get to the course like maybe an hour and a half before my tea time, but like I like to have my headphones in, I like to listen to podcasts, so podcasting big for me, but I like to listen to a little podcast like while I'm like getting into my routine, so that's also one of the things. And I think I was telling you earlier, like a little, it's not really a superstition, but like it's more like a mojo thing for my outfits. Like if I've like, say the day that I shot whatever round, 8 under, 6 under, like the outfit.
8 under and 6 under.
I mean, before this I was talking about all my fears and like my, now I feel like I need to go in the other direction.
Yes.
No, but like just if any day that's been a good day and I've worn a certain outfit, like I think that outfit is good mojo. So like sometimes if I'm in like contention or a pressure situation, I'm like I'm just gonna wear that outfit because I like have good feelings from it. And even on the other side, like if I've had a bad day in a certain outfit, I'm like okay, that stays on the shelf for a little bit until I'm ready to take it out again.
So see, I'm taking notes on the side. Eggs, croissant, same outfit, ways to be a champion. But what I love about, when you speak about golf, there's always a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
Even you talked about your challenges. You still talked about how you got through them. You clearly enjoy you playing the sport. You love the sport. You love every aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it can, sport can also tend to get intense at times, very overwhelming when you feel like things are not going according to plan. It does take a toll on your mental health. When we go to our coaches, at least when I did, when I played my first sport, and I told them, sir, we call them sir. So he says, sir, I have a shoulder pain. There's a lot of intensity with which you deal with a physical injury.
Correct.
But if I were to identify, I couldn't really, but if today, even an athlete today were to go to a coach and say that mentally I'm not feeling okay, I don't want to look at a swimming pool, or I don't want to be on a golf course or on a tennis court. I don't know how many coaches and support staff take that seriously. You've had some of your challenges. I think it's important to, talk about how you mentioned at the start of the year you felt a certain way and how you brought it back. Just tell us a little bit more about, that part and how you feel like you sort of overcome it in terms of your mental challenge.
I would say like saying I overcome it is, I don't think it's ever, it's evolving, but I also don't think it's always possible. Like, I think one of the ways to kind of deal with it is just to know that there will be ups and downs. Like, just to know that it's not gonna be just like, I don't know, like roses and candy, like it's gonna be great and like happy times and only good results all the time. So I think like it's important to acknowledge that there will be, tough times. There will be like days when you're like stuck in another country, like have had a horrible round of golf and you're just like, what am I doing? Like, this is, and it just happens, like it happens often, especially in a sport like golf, and I'm sure like in any other sport you would know about swimming. Like, I think it's just important to acknowledge that there will be tough days and there will be bad days. But like I was saying earlier, it's also important to acknowledge like why you enjoy like doing what you do. I'm a professional golfer because I enjoy the sport. In essence, I enjoy playing golf. So in times like that, it's very important for me to like get back to the enjoyment that I get from the sport.
And we tend to, you are a champion in your own right. I think every athlete who watches will know what it takes to become good enough to be part of an Asian Games contingent, an Indian team, or win one title, let alone 12. But it's almost like we dehumanize our great champions. You watch Roger Federer, you assume that he's going to win every time he picks up his tennis racket. The young kids watching you will assume that, okay, Ridhima is leading, she's going to win the tournament. But it's almost humanizing your side of the story.
But I think all the biggest athletes feel that as well. Like, actually one of my favorite books is Open by Andre Agassi, the tennis player, and like he's like written so much about like how he's gone through like kind of the worst mental states and like how he's felt, and like, and nobody would know that, right? Like nobody who watched him play in his prime would assume that he's going through whatever he was at the time. But it's just, I feel like a part of the journey as an athlete, and you just have to assume that it comes with it.
And it's moving from this being very intense a conversation to something. You talked about routine, you talked about what you do with your breakfast or your colorful outfits. Golf is an outdoor sport. It can get very cold in Europe, but it can also get very humid, hot. Your skin is under a lot of stress. So in terms of, do you have any sort of a skincare routine that you follow pre-tournament that also de-stresses you?
Well, applying sunscreen is very important for me. I mean, I've always been, because you're always in the sun, like playing, and like ever since I was growing up, like my mom would like, when I was a kid, like put sunscreen on my face, like make sure like people used to say, it's for the tan, but it's really not for that. It's almost like to protect your skin. So I'm very big on sunscreen. Like I actually like obviously have stuff in my toiletry kit, like a sunscreen there, and I have like a roll-on sunscreen in my golf bag. So I actually like reapply like the roll-on like while I'm on the course, because again it's important. Like it's just a good practice, I think, to like be able to learn. Now it's a part of the routine. So, and also like skincare, like obviously like making sure like after I come off the course, like wash my face really well, because obviously a lot of dust and grass and like all the other things. So just like making sure there's sunscreen and making sure it's clean. That's
and
important.
you have to, and eventually you have to look good when you want to look good, when you go up and you win all those 12 titles and more, of course. And with women's golf in India, it's obviously on the up. You've got Indians also who are competing with you on the European tour, which is possibly one of the biggest tours in your sport. Where do you see women's golf going, say, in the next 4 years or so?
Well, I think it's going to grow so much, because already in the last couple of years since I've turned pro, like I've seen the shift and the change in how many more people, well, more Indian girls are competing at an international level. I just think like Indian women's golf is doing amazing numbers, because say we don't have that many professional female golfers, like maybe like about 40 something of us, and already there's like one player on the LPGA, Aditi, who's also you know, like played almost like won a medal at the Olympics and things like that. And then we have like 6 or 7 of us playing on the European tour, which is the second best tour after the LPGA. And I see like the younger girls who are coming up on tour, and they're really good. And I mean, already out of 40 of us, like if there's 10 people good enough to play on international tours, that's an amazing percentage. And I think it's only going to get better. So it's very exciting.
Fantastic. With golfers like you, you know, leading from the front, I think that Indian golf is in good hands. So we play smart, and today we're going to think fast in our rapid fire round, brought to you by Moha Sunscreen. Ridhima, the fun part of our interview.
Or the stressful part.
Or the most stressful part. I'm going to put you on the spot. More pressure than anything you ever felt. Okay. So, what is your favorite course to play at?
I would say DLF golf course.
Favorite pre-game meal?
Like eggs and toast.
If you weren't an athlete, what would you be?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, maybe some kind of psychologist. I studied psychology, so probably.
Spray, lotion or stick sunscreen?
Stick.
Best advice you would like to share with your audience?
Just stick to the process and the results will come.
Okay, so you said maybe a psychologist, but if you weren't a golfer as a sportsman, what other sport do you think you may have been good at?
Oof, that's tough, because somehow my hand-eye coordination is horrible, even though I'm a golfer. I actually think I would have made a decent swimmer. I used to swim quite a bit growing up.
Okay, so a person was suggesting technique.
Yeah, maybe I can learn technique from you.
Maybe we can. What is your favorite song that you like to get excited, hyped to? Not saying between holes, but pre-tournament.
Changes every week. I'll enjoy Punjabi music, so something of that sort.
Nelly Korda or Lydia Ko?
I would think Lydia Ko. She's now in the Hall of Fame, and her whole career has been amazing. Yeah.
And what do you do on your day off when you're not at the golf course?
Be a vegetable and on the couch. Like do nothing.
Do nothing.
Do nothing, because there's so much to do otherwise.
There's so much.
And well, I like to read a lot, so read on the couch. It's probably great. Yeah.
At the end of our rapid fire, I always have something in mind to say to my athlete, to sort of thank them for making time and coming on our show. But what I have to say to you is, if I was to just meet you, because I've spoken to had the good fortune of speaking to sailing champions, shooters, hockey players, badminton players, and while I related to their journeys, their struggles, their sacrifices and everything that it took to I've never really played badminton or I've never sailed, but I have played golf for 10 years, nowhere as close to how successful you have been. But what I completely related to, and also I was shocked by, is that because I know what it takes to win one title on a national tour or an international event, and let alone 12, and also be good enough over, I think, 15 years at least in the sport, to be where you are and still possess the joy and the same joy, I think, that you felt when you walked in as a little girl into CE4 to hit golf balls. And that is what I relate to, and that is what I take back from the this conversation, that irrespective of how long you play a sport or how successful you are or not at it, you have to go back to doing it because you love to do it.
Absolutely.
And I hope that we get to watch you on TV in 2028 at the LA Olympics. I don't think there'll be hidden cameras tracking what you ate for breakfast, but we know your
I'll
traits.
let you know. I'll let you know what I do.
But we'd all be so proud that
Yeah.
we had you on the show,
Thank
sharing
you.
wisdom and advice and experience over, I think, a lifetime in sport. So thank you so much for being here. Off camera, I will take advice on
Yes.
on my golf swing.
Off camera, we can play a round of golf, but I promise there'll be no hidden cameras recording your golf swing.
And I promise I will take those 8 shots as an advantage of the first tee. But thank you so much,
Thank you. It was
Ridhima,
a pleasure.
for our whole interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Ridhima, we'd all like to thank you again for coming on the show, spending time with us
Thank
here.
you for having me.
And since skincare is also quite an important part of your pre-game and during in-game routine,
Yes.
from all of us, we'd like to present you with a little hamper.
Thank you so
for being
much.
here. Thank you.
I'm very excited to use all of these things.
All the products.
All of them.
So when I invited Ridhima on our show, I asked her to talk to me a little bit about any special moment or memorabilia that she could bring on to make the conversation more interesting. And she said, no, I don't really have anything. When I asked her how she prepares for a tournament, she gave me mostly things that she does in terms of preparation on course, through training, and also in warm-up. And when she was talking about that, it led me to remember one of my favorite lines from a poem, and I'm going to recite them for you because I think the way she conducts herself on tour and also through her preparation, most importantly, resonate with this poem. So it's called The Road Ahead or The Road Behind by George Joseph Moriarty, and it says that sometimes I think that the fates must grin as we denounce and insist that the only reason we can't win is the fates themselves that miss. Yet there lives on an ancient claim we win or lose within ourselves. The shining trophies on our shelf can never win tomorrow's game. Yet you and I know deeper down there's always a chance to win the crown. But if we fail to give our best, we simply haven't met the test of giving all and saving none until the game is really won. For who can ask more of a man than giving all within his span? For giving all, it seems to me, is not so far from victory. And so the fates are seldom wrong, no matter how they twist and wind. It is you and I who make our fate. We open up or close the gate on the road ahead and the road behind. The road behind for Ridhima is filled with a wall full of trophies and championships and medals, and the road ahead is a road filled with dreams of turning into an Olympian someday, having the honor of representing our country on sport's biggest spectacle, winning more and more on the European tour, and so much more. So Ridhima, thank you once again. The reason this outro has been so long is because I completely relate to the sport you play, and I really admire you for what you've achieved in it because I know how hard it is to play. Ridhima, thank you. You were truly an inspiration.